please bring the hands together in front of the heart, resting the thumbs lightly against the center of the chest. We'll open our class with 3 beautiful Oms. Remember that half of the exhalation is O and the second half is And we send this beautiful vibration into our body and minds and into the world around us. So let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose together. Take a moment to set a personal intention for this class. Our intention helps to create our experience. Open our eyes, let's begin. So what is yoga? Why are we here, actually? There's something that has already been in your mind. You probably all practice yoga, or you wouldn't maybe come to a master class, as we call it, meaning that it's a bit more advanced than someone that's just coming for their first yoga class. And what I've perceived as I travel around the world teaching is that a lot of people have the perception that yoga is a lot about the physical body, and that is one aspect. But there's so much more to the science. It's a really profound possibility that's offered to us through these teachings to transform our entire being. The physical body is the foundation. This is where we start. We keep this healthy, then we can go into higher states of consciousness, which is really the ultimate goal of yoga. Yoga meaning union between my consciousness and the universal consciousness. They're just words right now, and words can be limiting, but we need them to express at least what we're thinking about and talking about. So the idea is that yoga is something that helps us to become greater, actually, or become more aware of what's greater than just this physical body. And through the science of Tantra Yoga. Now here's a misunderstanding that I've seen a lot. People say I do Hatha Yoga or I do Tantra Yoga. Well, actually, Hatha Yoga is a form of Tantra Yoga. Anything that's done with this body is, in the yogic sense, is a form of Tantra Yoga. Because before the Tantric science was really expounded and spread around the world, there was the Vedas in another form that was more ascetic. It was actually saying the body is the obstacle, and we need to get rid of the body's problems so that we can then go into a spiritual path. So this is actually a form of yoga that embraces the material world, embraces this physical body as a vehicle of self-realization. It says that everything that exists in this universe is a manifestation of that one creative consciousness. Now you can use whatever word you want, and I know that God is a loaded word and it has a lot of connotations. You can call it cosmic consciousness, divinity, whatever works for you. Again, it's just a label. The understanding is there's something greater than my limited ego that has brought me into this place, and we can connect to that. That's what this is, the ultimate goal. But before we get to that ultimate goal, we have to take care of the body. We have to take care of our energy, our emotions, and our mind. And this is what the science offers us, an ability to actually address every aspect of the human experience. And this is why it's been around for thousands of years, because it's still very effective. Even more so in this modern day, these teachings of Tantra Yoga are for this age. And in the science of yoga, they talk about an age being 100,000 years or more, yugas. And these yugas are extremely long. So we're in a stage of this cycle of manifestation that is continuous without beginning and without end. that says that we are actually in the darkest age of spiritual time. But the good news is that after this age, we go back. We go back to the perfect age, Satya Yuga. So we can start to make that move ourselves. And all of the science is really doing is guiding us back into ourselves. And we can do all the physical asana we want, but if we don't have the awareness of what the end result could be, then we're missing the depth of the science. We're only touching the material. And the material is the spiritual, according to Tantra. This is the manifestation of that divine consciousness. So what do we do in our lives? Okay, we have jobs, we have family, we go to school, we're busy. How do I actually allow this to be a path of transformation? You don't have to come to a 2-hour yoga class to be able to focus on yourself. What we're looking at here, after we can start to heal the body, and in the process of healing the body, is the fundamental key to our existence at this level of consciousness is what? It's our mind. And it's the mind that is either the greatest tool that we have or the biggest obstacle in our lives. Has anybody here tried to sit in meditation? I would think most of you have if you've been doing some yoga. And what happens when you sit in meditation and you close your eyes? You begin to see that the mind is all over the place. No matter how focused we are in life and on our job, at times the mind is bouncing around, and they call it the mental monkey in yoga. I had a teacher who called it, it's worse than that. It's the drunk monkey stung by a scorpion. It just does not sit still ever, right? No matter how hard we try. So it's not necessarily about stopping the thoughts. That can happen. Our goal is not to stop the thoughts right now. Our goal is to begin to observe our mind. And when we have a better awareness of how the mind works, we also, as we watch those thought processes unfold, we can start to separate ourselves and become the observer of those thoughts. Yes? If you can watch your thoughts, what part of you is watching? Well, they call that the observer. And to step into the observer is to step into a peaceful place, because the mind is what creates our tension, our stress, any of the obstacles that we have in life are not necessarily outside of ourselves. It's our thoughts about what's happening in our lives that creates the problems. So this is a path of learning to observe your mind, but it's more than that as well. That's part of it. But we also need to observe this physical body. It is the vehicle for our consciousness to experience your life. What else do we have? We have energy. Every cell is a plus and minus charge. This isn't just some yogic fantasy. This is proven by science, okay? If you're not so much into the spiritual side, and I have to say that this is a spiritual practice to begin, but you don't have to take it that way. You could take it as a scientific experiment. And in yoga, you are the laboratory, the scientist, the experiment, and the results. The beautiful thing is it's all inside of you. If you're looking for answers, this is the place to do the experiment. This is our laboratory of life. So if we want to get some understanding of how to reach that state of peace that we're all really striving for in some way in our life, to have that peace which then allows us to experience something called happiness, we need to look inside and balance the body, the energy, and what else? The emotions and the mind. So in yoga, we talk about 5 different bodies, and they're just part of this being, but at different vibrations. This is the most slow, dense vibration. But as we go deeper into the understanding of who we are, there's something more subtle, and that's the energy that can't necessarily be seen with a microscope or seen in a laboratory except for our own self-awareness. Then we go more subtle than that, and that's the emotions. And finally, we have the mind. And the mind is the ultimate tool in this practice. Without understanding the mind, it's very hard to go deeper into the science of yoga. So this is one of our first steps, because after we get that awareness of how the mind works, then we can transcend the limitations. We can just let the mind do it at once. We don't have to stop it. We can step back and be the observer, and we can bring our awareness into the heart. Because ultimately, this is what all the teachings from all the esoteric sciences around the world are saying. It's all about love. And everything that's a manifestation is a manifestation of a loving creator. So first we have to get used to what this is doing and laugh at the games that it's playing, that crazy monkey, and not necessarily be taken out of our center each time these thoughts come. Because that is what is disturbing us. It's our thoughts. And I can tell you from my own experience, first time I tried to meditate, the first many times I tried to meditate, I was totally freaked out by my mind. I had never closed my eyes and said, all right, let's see what's going on in there. And when I did, it was a shock. Anybody else have that shock the first time they started paying attention to what's going on up here? And I thought I was insane because it's all over the place. Now we can bring it in to a certain amount of focus for a time, but then it's off again. And we try and bring it back. And that's actually part of our practice. As we do things on the yoga mat, we're doing them with focus of the mind. And the things that we do with the body attract our attention. And that's one of the reasons yoga is so powerful, because whatever practice you do, maybe it's a strong flowing sequence or a very quiet, still yin practice. Either way, you're becoming aware of the physical body. And that's helping to come out of the mind and into this moment. The whole science of yoga and all the spiritual teachings really are how to live in this present moment. Where are we most of the time? Thinking about what happened yesterday, our fight with our partner, or the thing that we had with our boss, or we're projecting into the future. And we're living in a place of fantasy, because this is the reality right here. And this is what they say in the science, is that this is the most powerful place you can be, because this is where transformation happens. It doesn't happen in the past or the future. So if you want to step into your full power, it's about learning to be present. So we do a practice on the mat to learn to be present, and then this becomes a skill. And when we get good at this, we can take that skill into our lives when things are really crazy. Right now, this is a controlled environment. It's a controlled scientific experiment. And it's very easy to say, all right, I have a certain amount of ability to be in a concentrated state here. But when we get out there and suddenly all the other influences are impacting our thoughts, can we come back to that peaceful state? So this is what we're going for yoga, is to work with the different bodies, physical, energetic, emotional, and mental. And there's a fifth body according to the science. It's the spiritual body, or the causal body, that's unfolding our life. So if we learn to work with a practice now, how do we get into the practice that touches all the bodies? Not just a practice that gives us more flexibility and strength, which is absolutely beautiful, but if we stop there, we are not diving into the depths of the science. So that's what I'd like to share with you for a moment today, is how to actually go deeper. And one of the first things that we can start to, at least conceptually, begin to be aware of is the energy body. You know, when you breathe, you're pulling in energy. It's not just oxygen. It's called prana, the life force, that thing that animates every cell in this universe. Everything that exists is a form of energy, yeah? This is what science tells us too. Anything that you can perceive has a form of energy. So this is what we start to expand our consciousness to perceive. Something more than just the physical. And it's always there. We just need to start to become aware of it. So in our yoga practice, we can start to become aware by turning our attention in. Most of the time, our eyes are open and our awareness is out there. Yoga is the science of going in, and when we turn the attention in, we can feel that energy. It's there. You just need to slow down enough, bring the mind into a place of observing, and then you can start to perceive this. And the energy body is very profound because it governs the physical body. It's not the other way around. The energy body controls the physical body. This is why things like acupuncture work, everything is energy, and it's manifesting the physical body. And if we want to bring health, we bring health to the energy body, and that will manifest health at the physical level. So what is the physical or the energy body made of? Well, there's 72,000 energy channels called nadis that connect everything to everything else. And the yogis have discovered, but by putting your body in certain positions, let's say just the seated forward fold, that's a geometric shape, and it creates a flow of energy, which is different than if you're doing a headstand or a shoulder stand or the triangle. And you can see that each of these postures, according to the traditional science, is actually a geometric shape that creates an energetic flow. And that's the science of Hatha Yoga, Tantra Yoga. It's not really about flexibility. That's a byproduct of the practice. In the beginning, yoga was not exercise. Yoga has become our health routine, and it works amazingly well. But in the beginning, you did exercise separately, and you came to the mat to work on your energy, and thereby connecting your physical body to your emotions and your mind, because this energy body is the gateway or the bridge between the body, the emotions, and the mind. And this is why, according to the science, the breath is so vital. It's such an important part of our practice. And this is something also that doesn't really get taught as much as it could be in the modern day. You know, we spend, let's say in a 90-minute yoga class, very often what I see is 80 minutes of asana or physical practice and then 10-minute final relaxation. according to the science, we should change that and maybe do 40 minutes of asana, 40 minutes of breathing, and a final relaxation or a meditation. Because it's the breath that's actually infinitely more powerful than asana for affecting the energy, the emotions, and the mind. The asana does have an impact, obviously. But if you want to tap into the most powerful tool that you have for healing yourself, for bringing balance to your energy, your emotions, and your mind, it's the breath. And there are so many different breathing techniques that have different intentions about what to create in your own being. So as a yogi, we start to study, what is it in myself that I need to work with? What is blocking me? Maybe I have a blocked heart for whatever reason, and I need to open that. Or I have a physical pain. Well, if we start to learn how to do postures that create an energetic flow, specific energetic flow, if we learn the breathing techniques that work with the different chakras or energy centers, then we can bring ourselves into balance. So yoga is the practice of self-understanding, ultimately self-realization. But before we get there, we need to understand what's going on. And we need to do that by being very honest with ourselves and looking ourselves clearly and saying, what is it that I am lacking? And how do I bring more into my being? Or how do I let go of the things that are holding me back? So this is the science. It's pretty clear. The difficult part is applying it, because we have a modern lifestyle. It's very busy. But if you would like to be the best version of yourself, whatever that means for each individual, let's say you're a businessman, an artist, or a businesswoman, or a musician, or an athlete. You devote some time every day to your craft, your skill. Well, what we devote in yoga is time to our own evolution. And when we do that, everything else in life flourishes from that place of strength that we develop through the balance that's created through our practices. So when we look at this energy body, we do talk about chakras. Now, that's become a little bit more mainstream. Basically, the chakras, as you can sort of see here, there are 7 fundamental chakras, and these chakras are more than just energy, my friends. They are much more than energy. They are levels of consciousness. They are parts of our psyche, our mentality, who we identify ourselves as, and they hold our karma, meaning the things that we have done in the past. Everything in science and in yoga understands that every action has a reaction. So the yogis understand that by going into the chakras, we can actually resolve karmic patterns that may be negative, or what we would say, not holding us back. Negative and positive, that's kind of a subjective point of view. What I want to say is that working with the chakras is the next step in your yoga practice. You can do asana all day long and become very flexible and very strong, but if you're not going into the energetic practice, it's not as powerful as it could be. And it's not hard, it's not rocket science, guys. It's just about understanding how it works and then applying the knowledge to your own practice. It's super simple, but you need to get the education first. So all I can do now, if you haven't heard this before, and maybe this is not new to you, I don't know where you're coming from, but I can say that to go deeper into healing your physical body, balancing your energy, emotions, and mind, and stepping into your full power, it's starting to become aware of the energy part of the practice. And that's what Tantra Yoga is really about. So these chakras are fundamental. We have 7. The first one at the very bottom is related to our earth energy, and that's the battery of life, the battery of our being. The earth supplies our nurturing foundation. And when we keep that strong, that's the chakra that then nourishes all the other chakras. If that gets weak, if we live in a city, we don't keep our contact with nature. We don't walk on the earth barefoot. We don't go into the sun. We're not drinking and eating pure, organic, high vibration foods and substances. We're disconnecting from the power of the earth. So that's another thing. This is a holistic approach. It's not just about what we do on the mat. If we want to become the best that we can be, it's a priority, right? So everything that we do in our life becomes part of that priority. The things I eat, the things I drink, the toxins I do or don't put into my body, and all of these other things like what I'm reading, what I'm watching, how much time I spend with electronic devices, all of these things become part of our awareness because we have choices. Every moment we have a choice of what to do with our body and our minds. So if you would like to experience something greater than the limitation that we've been taught to accept, then we start to understand that everything we do has a consequence energetically. Everything. So, working with the root chakra, very simple. There are ways to work with each of these chakras, and I only have a limited amount of time. What I want to say is that the most profound way is with the asana, And each posture has a certain resonance or energetic impact, and you can find the asanas. There's a great book out there called Asana Pranayama Mudra Bandha. Pretty much says it all. That's all it's about. And you look at that book and it tells you what the asana, what chakra is related to each asana. So if you really want to go into the science, I can't go all into all the asanas right now, but we'll do some in practice today. And there's some fundamental ones that you can do each day to charge up your root chakra. The other thing that's really powerful is the breath. Where your mind goes, your energy flows. Your mind, your consciousness, your awareness is a form of energy. So if I sat and focused on my hand long enough, I would start to feel something in that hand. That's because my mind is there, my awareness is there. So what do? We put that awareness into a chakra, into the heart center, into the root. And then I breathe in and out through that space with my intention, with my awareness, with my, even we could call it imagination at that point. I'm breathing in from the earth to my root chakra at the base of the spine, and I'm exhaling back down my roots into the earth. I could breathe into the heart, just inhale all that prana, all that life force right here, and I can exhale back. And each time I breathe in and out through a chakra, I am purifying, because the breath is purifying. It's healing. Not only that, but it's energizing. So I'm amplifying the energy there. And the more that we open a chakra after we are able to purify it and balance it, the more we step into the capacity that's connected to that chakra, the more we step into our full potential. So what I'm saying is work with asana and have the understanding of which chakras are being benefited through your practice, and use your breath. I mean, it doesn't get any more simple than that. Put your mind here. You want to stimulate your mind and get clarity. The third eye, this is the entrance point, is actually the center of the brain, the pineal gland. So I bring my mind there and I inhale into that point and fill this with energy, and I exhale through that point. You can do that for any chakra. You understand now, right? Just put your mind on a center. Now, where are these chakras? Well, let's make it a little more simple. All chakras are not in the physical body. They are in the subtle body, meaning that they're not something that you can see, or science hasn't even figured out a way to see them yet, but they are in the spinal cord, or not the spinal cord, the spinal energy channel. And that is called Sushumna Nadi. So all of the chakras have an entrance point through the physical body that are either in the front or back. You can see the second chakra. It's about at the level of the external genitals, and it's in the spine. It's not in the genitals, it's in the spine. Now the root chakra is unique. It actually faces down. Why? Because it's connecting you to the earth. So it makes sense to open to the center, or open down to the earth. And that chakra is actually at the very tip of the spine. Second one is at the level of the genitals. The third is at the level of the navel. The fourth in the center of the chest, the heart center. And it's actually in, remember, the spinal channel. Then we go to the throat chakra here in the pit of the throat, the third eye in the center of the brain, and then we have the crown chakra, which is also different because it's facing up, connecting us to the ultimate level of consciousness. Now to wrap this up, what we do in our physical practice through not only postures, but also breathing, meditation, visualization, the most powerful form of practice that we do with the energy is ultimately what's called sublimation, which means we're taking the energy from down here, which is much easier for us to accumulate by our food, by walking on the earth. We have more energy here typically than we do up here. Even if I'm in my mind all day, I'm still in my body, okay? So it's not like I have this amazing mind, otherwise you'd already be enlightened and illuminated, which, all right, we all are, but that's another discussion. So what we're doing is taking this energy and doing sublimation, making it move up through these energy channels, and as it moves up, it opens the chakras. And they're also called lotuses. A lotus is a flower, and as this energy flows up, it makes the flowers blossom. It blooms, which means our level of consciousness opens at that level of that chakra. So we're taking this energy and we're doing sublimation. Now, how do we do sublimation? How do we send the energy up? Any idea? If you want to take your body or your breath, what would you do to make that energy go up? It's okay. If you don't know, that's fine. That's why I'm here. Well, it's very simple, actually. You can turn your body upside down, and the energy flows according to where the blood's flowing to. So if I do a shoulder stand, you've all done a shoulder stand, well, the energy is going to go from the feet. Okay, it's not going up, but I mean towards the higher parts of the body. It's going from the feet, and it's accumulating here at the level of the throat chakra. So you do a shoulder stand for longer and longer, you energize the throat chakra. And each of these chakras are related to every aspect of the human experience. Okay, you do a headstand. Where's the energy going to go? To the crown. That's why it's called the king of the asanas. Not because it's so cool and because it looks really nice on Instagram, because it actually brings the energy to the highest chakra. And the ultimate goal of Tantra Yoga is to bring this energy up and join it with our highest level of consciousness and have union of energy and consciousness. And everything that exists here in this manifest world that we perceive is a union of energy and consciousness. Everything is conscious. Now, we might not understand that because it's just words, but if you go into meditation and you start to perceive that everything is your consciousness, all that you see out there is just a reflection of your own level of consciousness, you are creating that which you perceive, not the other way around, then you start to understand that it's all energy and it's all consciousness and there is no actual separation. But because our mind lives in duality, we know light because we know dark, we know good because we know bad, we perceive things dualistically. Yoga is transcending that dualistic thinking and bringing us to a state of union, oneness, that then helps us to understand who we truly are. We are the creator. We are the manifester of our lives. So this is a very empowering science. And all I can offer you now in my last few moments before I want to start yoga class is that you go deeper into this because it's limitless. The potential that you and everybody here has to go into the science and learn how to transform yourself into the creator that you are by first balancing the physical body, the energy, the emotions, and the mind, you can become incredibly powerful beings, which you already are, but we have limited thinking. So this is a chance, a science. It's a manual. It's a handbook. It's an instruction book that says if you push button A, B, and C, you get this result. Again, not rocket science. You just need to apply it. Okay? There's so much more I want to say. I get excited. This is truly amazing because I've seen it in my own life and I've been teaching long enough to see it in thousands of lives, literally. I've taught in a school where we had a few thousand people coming through every year in Thailand. You know, people coming and going, and I was teaching teacher training courses for many times, and it works. You know, maybe you need to just heal your back. Yoga can help you with that. Maybe you need to heal a broken heart. There's a technique that can help you with that. Maybe you need more mental power. Try a breathing practice that will amplify your third eye. There's something for everyone. So find out what you need and find a way to get a teacher or a book that can guide you to the practices that will help you to determine what is a path of your own evolution. And then you are empowered to take charge of your life and your awakening and your own health. So it's got it all. I mean, I've looked around. I haven't seen anything else like it. That's why I'm devoted to it. So this is the path that I share with you today. We're going to do a yoga practice. I'm actually going to have you guys, because I don't want everybody to have to crane their necks sideways to see me in the middle. So I'd like everybody to turn their yoga mats and face me this direction. That way you can all look straight at me. And most of the time your eyes are going to be closed anyway, all right? All right? I want you to go inside in this practice and start to look for the energy.